Hello everybody and a very warm welcome. I hope you had a great Christmas. It's still one day left to celebrate Christmas or whatever kind of celebration you're having at that moment. I'm wishing you all the best, that you had a great time, still having a great time, that you're seeing your loved ones, have fabulous dinner, or finally have time to listen to your favorite records. At the moment you see many videos saying best vinyl buys from 2022. And I made some comments on videos and I suddenly got asked, so where's your video of your best buys in 2022? Well, if you watch my channel regularly, I'm not buying reissues so much because the music I'm listening to, R&B, soul and disco, is not getting the reissue treatment it should have. But you were asked for it, and here it is in my top records of the year. I bought the used ones, and I tried to select records which are still available, but also, and this is the most important part, affordable. So that was for me very important. And this year, after 15 years of searching, I found two grey records. One I was looking for 15 years, the other one I was looking for 5 to 6 years, and I finally found these records this year, and I can hardly describe it how it was the first time I played the originals on my turntable. So I want to show you these records, tell you a little bit about the background, and let's go. And let's start with one record I want to show you, which got reissued this year, and it was a fantastic reissue which I very much enjoyed, and which was very cheap, was the Superfly soundtrack. You get 2 LPs. The second LP is digitally enhanced, if you want to call it that way, where you have alternate version, instrumentals, radio spots from Superfly, and the first record is the original soundtrack, and it's just an absolutely great record. This is one of those reissues I would wish there would be coming out more. It was done by the Runout Groove. Here it is. This is the gate fold, and this is the back. You're getting a poster with it and also a slip mat, which I haven't even put out because I'm not using it on my turntable, but I think it looks, from what I've seen on pictures, it looks, oh look at this. That's stunning, right? Yeah, so this is one of those reissues, one of the few I bought. I also bought the John Coltrane stereo reissue. I'm not so deep into jazz, but I do enjoy Kind of Blue. I do enjoy John Coltrane, Bill Evans. So yeah, but yeah, this is one of those records. If you have the chance to get it, go and get it. You get the first one is done, I think, by Bernie Grundman, and it was an AAA release. So that was fantastic. Unfortunately, many R&B and soul releases are not getting that treatment. Anyway, let's get to another record. Caroline Franklin. Each record she put out is tremendously good. But there was one big reason she never had her real big breakthrough. If you listen to her music, you in the voice, you hear some similarities with another singer. And if you are Aretha Franklin's sister, it's not that easy to get your breakthrough, but she helped supporting her sister very much. She sang backing vocals with her sister. And yeah, this one I got as a VCLT from Bobby Spittin' the Truth About Records. I asked him, if you ever see records of her in the record stores you are, please let me know, because in Germany you can barely find, or in Europe you can barely find any Caroline Franklin records. Her version of You To Me Are Everything, which was done by Marvin Gaye first, is just it's just awesome. So Caroline Franklin was this year, I'm playing it a lot on my top list. Another record which I can't recommend enough, and this actually came out a couple of years ago, as a reissue is Sandra White with Wounded Woman. The story behind this record is absolutely fascinating. This record was actually recorded in 1974 with very talented musicians and a Sandra White on top of her games. This record is from the beginning to an end an absolutely soul masterpiece and one of my favorite soul records up there. And I know many of them. I don't know all of them, but I know many of them, and this is just tremendously good. The record, recorded in 1974, was released in 1989 because it was somehow forgotten. When the producer of the record tried to sell it off, he had like every major record company wanted to have that record. He decided to go for Stax. Stax, a couple of months later, signed bankruptcy, and that was it with the album. But when it came out in the late 80s, it was great. And like I said, a couple of years ago, there's a remastered version out of it between 20 to 30 euro, which you should absolutely go for. This is the original 1989 pressing. I got it way back then for 20 euros. Now it's around 100 I've seen it for. So if you have the chance, go for the reissue. The reissue is stunning cover art and everything. So wonderful, wonderful record. Also this year, I got into 70s gospel. And the reason for this is I was in a record store and I've seen this record, and I know gospel music, especially from the 70s, has some great drum breaks, some great vocals on it. So I listened to this and it just knocked me off my feet. This is the East St. Louis Gospel. It's Love is the Key from 1977. It's just tremendously good. Have Mercy on Me, brilliant song. I think it has also been sampled on a rapper's recording, something like this. Just tremendously good. You can listen to this album from the beginning to the end. Also sound-wise, it's absolutely great. There's just one track on it, A Glory Road, which was originally Country Road. That's not so my thing, but this record is just brilliant. I got it, which isn't so cheap, I think for 40 euro or something like this in a record store. I have seen versions for 100, but there are also some of them who are in between 40 to 50 euro. That's not cheap, that's not super affordable, but I wanted to point out this record to you because it's just awesome. I love this record from the beginning to the end, except Glory Road. This is like, The next singer has a backstory which is absolutely shattering, and I'm, wishing the singer all the best. It's Merry Clayton. Merry Clayton is one of the most talented singers you ever come around. There is a documentary about her because she was still is a very famous backing vocalist, and people who worked with her encouraged her, come on, do a solo record, go out there. She never really had the breakthrough she deserves, but she's just awesome. The song Thousand Man Who Starts the Record is just all in all. If you ever come along and Merry Clayton record, go and grab it. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. She's just awesome. I found about her this year, and I can't stop listening to her music. She has a very haunting voice, and yeah, I hope you like her as well and find out more about her. Another album I got around this year, which is very cheap to get, between $5 to $10 to $15, is the great Buddy Miles. All the Faces of Buddy Miles came out in, I think, 1974. If you like Johnny Bristol with Hang On In There Baby, he produced that record, and it's like never-ending version of Hang On In There Baby. I love this record. I play it like all the time, from the beginning to the end, once again, and all in all, great record, and it's absolutely affordable. So if you see something from Buddy Miles, I'll show you the back, go and grab it. Buddy Mutz. All the faces of Buddy Mutz. All right. Another one of the greatest. I admire this artist for 15 years when I got into Northern Soul. He was a huge star in the Northern Soul scene. Highly talented musician, singer, songwriter, producer, was partly signed by Motown, but also never really took off. And this is the great J.J. Barnes. I found Sarah Smile, which came out in the beginning of the 70s. Let me see it. I won't tell you anything wrong. In 1977. I found this in a record store for 15 euros, which is actually pretty cheap because usually this record goes for 30 euros. And unfortunately, he died a couple of days ago, so you can imagine that the price is now skyrocketing. He had another album from 1973, J.J. Barnes, Born Again, also a record I've been looking for years to find somehow a clean copy. I bought one on Discogs. I went the easy way because I wanted to have it so badly, and I was like tired of looking for it because it was like it's actually nowhere to be found. So I bought it off of Discogs. It got here and was warped, so I had to send it back. That was super sad because You Are Just a Living Doll, which is on that album, is a masterpiece, and this one I can also recommend to you again. We Can't Hide It Anymore is on this record. He made a great version of How Long. So if you ever have a chance to find J.J. Barnes music, go for it. You won't be disappointed. So before I get into the grails, I've been asked what is a great New Year's party record. And I found one which is actually a 3 LP set. And when I bought this like 1.5 years ago, it was quite affordable. The price is going up, going down, going up, going down. But anyway, this is ABBA live in Wembley in 1979 at the peak of their career. And like I said, a 3 LP set. I'm 100% sure it has been digitally worked on because the sound is like super clean. And but anyway, if you're looking for a great party record, this is the way to go. So they sing all the hits. They sing Voulez-Vous, Does Your Mama Know That You're Around, Knowing You, Knowing Me, Money, 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 Gimme, 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 A Man After Midnight, Thank You for the Music, Summer Night City, Take a Chance on Me, Dancing Queen, and Waterloo. And this is this came out a couple of years ago. In 2020, and I mean, look at this cover art. This is just awesome. I love this cover art. It's one of the greatest cover arts of an ABBA record, I think. So on the back you have a concept picture from Wembley. It must have been great to be there. What I'm not so happy with is that this record is not a gatefold, so you get a very cheap, very thin paper cover where you put in the 3 records, and that's what I thought was very sad. I would have wished I would have done a gatefold with some nice pictures on it, some backing story of this, maybe a picture of the tickets from back then. So there are many things you can do about it. But this is a great party record for New Year's Eve. Let's get to the grails. And I got hooked up on one of those records a couple of years ago. I heard a track and I was like hooked immediately. And it was like nowhere to be found. And Ethics of the North didn't reissue with that record. They did. They also included an unreleased instrumental track from that session, and they cleaned up the sound. And they made it from the original master tapes. It was not a needle drop. And I always wanted to have an original for years. And this year, a copy of that record turned up at eBay. And I was like, okay, I try my luck. Maybe I'm the one who's not looking for this record, someone is not looking for this record. And I heard from so many people that they have very great chances getting from eBay very cheap records. So I thought maybe I'm lucky. 2 days before the auction ended, the price went to 200 euro, 300 euro, 400 euro. So the hours before the auction ended, it was like 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, 1,100. And I was like, I was in a state of shock because this was double, sometimes triple the price I've heard this record is worth. So I'm totally out. A couple of weeks later, the same person was selling again a version of that record. And I got in touch with him and I was like, didn't you already, because we were the same pictures, same description, everything. And I said, didn't you already sold that one for a very good, tremendously amount of money? And he said, well, yes, I did, but the payer, the one who got the record, couldn't afford to buy it. I was like, why do you bid on something and you can't? But anyway, he sold it again and I got it for a great, great deal. And this is the original of William Stuckey's Love of Mine. This is like It Never Turns Up. And I was at first a little suspicious because the trackings are a little different than on the one I found on Discogs, on the pictures. But this is an absolutely original. But somehow this might be a promo or something, or a different press. But yeah, I'll show you the record, side one. This is the only record by William Stuckey. He was blind and he went to music school and he had a fantastic ear and was an awesome musician. And it's said that he only released that album, which is very, very good. It's a brilliant record, but never really came out of this. And Brian Sears, who was the researcher on this record, I did an interview with him, told an absolutely great story that they got the master tapes, they exchanged the master tapes on a parking lot on a Walmart and got it into studio and had to actually save them because they were starting to get sticky and all of this. So yeah, this is side one. And this is side two, and you can see it's super clean, hardly been played, it wasn't warped or anything, which was my concern. And the first time I played this record, I was like, wow. I've heard from Brian Sears who said, well, William Stuckey wasn't so happy with the mixing of the record, with the sound. But yes, the reissue sounds better because it has been cleaned up, it's a clearer sound and everything, but I kind of prefer it to be a little more dirty. So that was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm actually listening to an original of this. So, and this is the original inner sleeve of that record, where you have the lyrics on it, and yeah, I'll show you the back of the record. So, and this was the back. It's not a minty cover or anything. I would say it's a VG minus cover. It has some pretty scuffed corners and everything. But having an original of this in my collection and having the vinyl as good as this, it's just it was unbelievable. It was just I can't describe it. So this next record I was looking for 15 years. And the story behind it is a friend of mine bought in Cincinnati a reel-to-reel tape machine on a yard sale. And he also got some tapes with it. He brought it home because he wanted to record music on the tape machine. And some of the tapes he had to throw away because they were also sticky or not usable or anything like this. So he was putting on a tape and he was trying to listen what's on this tape, and there were 2 songs on that tape which were like, oh my god, this sounds amazing. And it wasn't like, oh, this has been homemade, because there were orchestra, and it was very, very well done. And he got in touch with some people and also with me, and he taped that on the phone and said, hey, do you know the singer? And she sounded a little bit like Aretha Franklin, a little bit like some other people, but you couldn't really pinpoint it. And he went back to the person where he got the reel-to-reel tape machine from, because this is just, you know, it was awesome. So, and he got back and asked, hey, I found a tape and there was music on it. Here, I played the tracks to you. Do you know anything about it? And the guy says, you know, I sold this machine for my grandpa. He died a couple of years ago. He recorded many stuff from his records, and what's on it, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Well, the record collection, of course, was long gone, long sold off, so there was not really a chance. So for years, a couple of people were trying to figure out, who is this singer? And about a few years ago, I went to a Northern Soul Fest, Blackpool, in the United Kingdom, and there are the high-end knowledge people about Northern Soul and soul music. There are some very knowledgeable people up there, and I asked around, do you know who this singer is? And someone came up to me and said, well, I'm giving you an email address to someone. I can't promise you that this person will answer, but he's having one of the largest soul collections you can ever imagine. He got burned in the 80s, so he's a very laid-back person. He hardly gets into contact with anybody, but if someone can help you, it's him. So I wrote him an email, I put in the song samples, and 3 days later I got a mail back with the words, see attachment. And there was another track, Welcome Home, by the singer Barbara Haywood. So then we knew, okay, the singer's Barbara Haywood, and we tried to figure out where this music comes from, how much did she record it. And we found out that she only released 1 album. And around that same time, Goldmine Records reissued her one and only album, which is called On the Rise. And I do have that reissue, because there was that's the reissue. This is the vinyl release edition with clear vinyl, and I thought, okay, this is the closest I will ever get to this album. And for years I was trying to get an original copy, and since I'm having this channel, I'm always pointing out this record as something you should listen to, and if you get a reissue of this album, buy it, because you won't be disappointed. Her version of Light My Fire, of, you know, this is just it's For Once in My Life, and some other tracks, is just, it's just awesome. And you know, I'm so nervous, because I got mails from collectors from the United States, which always made me hopeful when it says in the title, original pressing of Barbara Howard. And I was like, oh my god, oh my god. And I got so encouraging mails like, back in the day, 500 were pressed, less than 30 are known to be in existence. So the chances you are getting one of these originals are not very high. So I wouldn't focus on that. Now, I'm not focusing on that. If it comes along the way, it comes along the way, but you can't force it. And by the beginning of this year, a gentleman got in touch with me and he said, I know you're looking for an original version. I have one. And I'm selling it to you because I'm in a certain age and I want my record collection to be in good hands. And so we wrote a little back and forth, and I gave him my address when we managed to get the deal done. And he said, oh, you're from Germany? I said, yes, sir. And he said, that's a problem. I said, why? And he said, I'm not shipping to Germany. And at that time, when I got records in the mail here in Germany, I don't know if it's in other countries the same, the postman tried to squeeze in the package as flat as possible to get it in the mailbox. And I thought, well, he's totally right about that. And he also said that shipping from the United States to another country like Germany is a pain in the ass. So he said, I'm sorry, we can't do it. Fortunately, I know some people in the United States, and I asked one of my best friends, Rick, to lend me his address to give it to that person, and he sent the record to Vegas. And this year I've flown to Vegas to pick up this record. The nice side effect was that I also sent some other records to Rick, and yeah, I had a huge package of records to take with me. And well, here it is. It took me, when I got home, it took me really some time to have the courage to put the record on my turntable, because I was afraid that it was, it was warped or anything, but it wasn't. And here it is. After 15 years, an original of On the Rise from Barbara Haywood. It was in the shrink when the person got the record, and he said he removed the shrink to play it one time. And Rick played it one time. He said I couldn't wait for it, and I played it one time, and it's, it's so, after such a long time, it's like with the William Stuckey record, it's like, it's hardly, I can hardly express what it's like to have this now finally in my hands. And that was just an overwhelming feeling to have. And there's another record I'm still looking for. Some people say if you found your holy grail, a couple of days later you want to have, or you're having another one. There's another record I'm looking for, The Topics, which is called Giving Up, on the TSG label, which is between 3,000 to 10,000 grand. If one day one comes along my way and I'm in the position to afford it, I might get it, but it's not like that I'm now trying to get a new grail or getting on this for this. The search is, at that moment, is over, and I can't be happier with this. So also he sent me some pictures to the person before he sold it to me, so I constantly compared the original cover, because there are now a few reissues out there in pink vinyl, in clear vinyl, in black vinyl. I was comparing the cover, comparing the vinyl and everything. So, and I checked the metrics, so it's an original, because when I got that record out, it looked so new. I was like, that's impossible. This record came out in 1970. It's impossible. But the metrics is right, and the label is right, and so this Christmas came early this year to me, and I can't be more thankful to this, to have the opportunity to listen to these originals. Nothing stays forever with you. One day you're gonna get 6 feet under, but having the pleasure to listen to this music in the original form is something I can barely describe how that feels. So I hope you enjoyed my little vinyl finds of 2022. There's a whole bunch of records I could have shown you, but for me it was important to show you records which are, like I said, available and for the most part affordable. So thanks for watching. Thanks once again, Vinyl Community, for the great support. Thanks Rachel from Rachel Goes, who's a huge supporter of the channel. I can't thank her enough. Without her, many things wouldn't have been possible. And I thank each and every one of you who's watching the videos, who's commenting on the videos, who's sending me feedback, who's recommending records to me. I really, really appreciate each and every one of you for doing this. I can't thank you enough for having me with you on this journey. So I'm wishing you guys a great New Year's Eve. I'm trying to make another episode of Hidden Jewels of Soul and Disco this week. And, well, I can't wait to start the journey with you in 2023 and see what will happen up there. And up till then, stay safe, stay healthy, listen to good music, maybe ABBA, maybe J.J. Barnes, maybe Buddy Miles, maybe Barbara Howard. Have a great time. Enjoy yourself and have a good time. That's one of the most important things. And, well, I'll see you next time. Bye.